All right, everybody, welcome. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon. Oh, that's upside down. I think that's upside down. The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today we're going to be reviewing Robert B. Parker's third Spenser novel, Mortal Stakes. Yeah, this is, there's the Robert B. Parker, one of the great mystery writers of all time. He's got this series of about 30 novels called the Spenser series about the private investigator from Boston, Spenser. Dynamite series. We're to book number 3. We're going to review them all on the channel. We're going to get them all reviewed. What are they about? This one came out in 1975. So you know that this dude, Robert Parker, was writing these things for a long time. The cover. You know, we always talk about the covers. This is, I like the back cover. Here's the thing. Robert Parker, this is his author photo, and he's got this badass dog. Here's the thing. I'm not a dog guy, but if I was to be a dog guy, I would get like a badass dog. The type of dog that's going to rip your arms off and just beat you to death with them. That's the type of dog that I want, I don't want any little Chihuahua or Poodle. I'm getting a German Shepherd, or a Rottweiler, or a Doberman Pinscher, or something, just like this guy. Now, maybe his dog isn't that vicious. I don't know. It looks kind of friendly. Anyway, these books are set in Boston. The cover, it's about baseball and gambling. I'm guessing from the cover, which would be accurate because it's about baseball and gambling. Robert Parker's third Spenser novel, his Spenser, opens up in Fenway Park with the Boston Red Sox. I don't have any t-shirts that really are about Boston. I'm not a Patriots fan or a Red Sox fan or a Celtics fan. But I do like Salem, Massachusetts. It's the closest I could get. Anyway, opens up in Fenway Park. A private investigator, Spenser, gets called to Fenway Park by the manager of the Boston Red Sox because he's afraid, the manager, Erskine, is afraid that one of his pitchers, his closeout pitcher, the guy that closes out the games, a guy by the name of Rab, most of the baseball players that are in the book are made up. He does throw in some of the real Boston Celtics from that time, the 1970s, and I recognize the names because when I was a wee little tiny kid playing pee-wee baseball, I used to collect, and this would have been in the mid to late 70s, I did collect a lot of little baseball cards, and I did recognize a lot of the names that were brought up in here. But that being said, most of the baseball players that our writer Robert Parker puts into the novel are actually made up people. They're not actual baseball players. Well, because you just can't do it. Because the closeout pitcher, the main pitcher, the guy, the manager thinks he's got a gambling problem and he might be throwing games. He can't prove it because it's hard to prove if a pitcher is throwing a pitch. If he's throwing a softball once in a while, it's very subtle. They go a lot into Spenser. Robert B. Parker goes a lot into how the mechanics of how a baseball player could actually throw a game or fiddle with the statistics of a game in such a way that people could make money off of it with their ill-gotten gains, but still the pitcher nobody would suspect. And so this is what's going on. So first of all, if you want an interesting look at just baseball and how someone could, without even anybody noticing, do things in a game that would make it so people that are gamblers could make a lot of money, it's an interesting look at that just to begin with. Well, Spenser, he has to infiltrate the Boston Red Sox to figure out if this guy's gambling. And he's like, well, you can't possibly think that I'm going to infiltrate the Boston Red Sox by just being a player. They're going to notice I suck. I can't pretend I'm like the new catcher or the new third baseman, because they're going to know right away that I can't fucking swing a baseball bat or even catch or throw a ball. So how am I supposed to infiltrate the baseball team? And then the manager's like, well, how about we How about we pretend you're an author and you're writing a book about the Boston Red Sox? And they're like, ding, 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 that's the story we'll go with. And so that's how he gets integrated with the team, and he starts traveling with the team and going to the games and interviewing all the players. Well, then he starts to interview this pitcher, Rab. He doesn't want to interview this guy first. He kind of subtly interviews a bunch of other people. Then he interviews Rab. But then he also interviews Rab's family and Rab's wife. And he's like, hey, you're one of the more interesting people for my book. Can I get to know your extended? I mean, it really plays it up. It really does well. But then he's like, starts to notice a lot of stuff about this guy's wife just doesn't add up. And so that's where sort of the investigation leads. And thank God, in the previous two Spencer novels, books number 1 and 2, Spencer, the badass detective, ends up sleeping with every female character that he comes across in the books. This is not the case in book number 3. He doesn't. I was like waiting for him to sleep with the pitcher's wife. But he doesn't. He doesn't, which is a miracle considering how the first 2 books in the series went. But anyway, it's a really cool, I'm not going to give you any more of the plot than that. It's a really cool look at the Boston Red Sox. It's a really cool look at Boston. It's a really cool look at gangsters, gamblers, the mafia, porn stars, prostitutes. I mean, we get it all here, folks. We get it all. It's just a really another dynamite entry into the Spencer Detective Series, book number 3, Immortal Stakes. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's just another great entry into the series, and we will continue on with the rest of them over time. We'll eventually get them all reviewed.